Welcome back, everybody. This is Northwest Small Batch Brewing. I'm Steven, and this is the channel where I brew beer. I show you from start to finish my whole brew day. I give you tips and tricks that I've learned along the way, and sometimes just thoughts about the whole brewing process and what's happening today. So take a look around at my channel, look at my videos if you like what you see. Hit the like button, thumbs up, bell icon, and while you're there, hit the subscribe button, and you'll get reminded every time I put out a new video. So let's get to today's topic, which is chasing the number, or numbers. So what does that mean? So I've already got a video out on efficiency. So I will post a link up in the corner, one of these corners, to my efficiency video. So I'm not going to go over all the little things that you can do to control your efficiency, but I will say that efficiency is basically how much sugar you get out of your grain. And that's what gives you the body of your beer, the flavor and body, as well as the alcohol content. So a lot of stuff affects that. And in the end, depending on your efficiency, you may get very close to the same gravity number that's called for in the recipe, or you may be way off. So I guess my point of view is that I've been seeing a lot lately where, let me back up. When you first start brewing your home brews, a lot of times people are just so excited, just to have a finished product that tastes like beer and is drinkable, and they like it. And as you start brewing more and more, you start to sort of hone the process and get better at it and better at it. But I think it can be taken too far. I've seen where people really just go crazy with all kinds of things that I don't think really make that big a difference, especially when it comes to home brewing. People, I think, oftentimes try to compare home brewing to commercial brewing. And it's the same, but it's different, right? Because commercial brewing, they're brewing beer for the specific purpose of making profit. For home brewing, that's not what we're doing. That's why we call it craft beer. We aren't trying to sell a product. We want to make a really fantastic, great tasting product that's maybe all natural, no chemicals, things that you can't buy from a larger, commercial brewery. Look, commercial breweries have very specific beers that they make because they make money, those particular beers. And so they make the same beers all the time, and that's what they sell because that's what people know, and that's how they make money. So you're not going to necessarily be able to go to that brewery and go, gee, I would like to buy X, Y, or Z from you, but you don't make it. Well, they're never going to make it because whatever it is you're interested in trying or experimenting with, they're not going to make any money off of it. That's not in their wheelhouse. They have to watch their bottom line and make sure their efficiency is as top line as it can get so they can make sure that they have no waste in money and product. It's made the same way, but yet they have to really basically look through a lens of profitability. Whereas home brewing, we just want to make the best freaking beer we can make with what we have. So what I want to do is bring up the Brewer's Friend website, which is what I use for my recipes. And the same will work for other things, like if you use Grainfather's software. I don't even know the other. There's a lot of them. There's softwares out there. There's websites. There's all kinds of things. I just like the Brewer's Friend website because it's fairly inexpensive for a yearly subscription. You don't even have to subscribe. You can actually use their recipe builder and just print the recipe out if you want when you're done building it. The only thing is I don't think you can save any recipes unless you actually have an account. Or maybe there's a limit how many you can save. Anyway, and I don't think you can access the forums if you don't pay. But it's really not very expensive, and they're always updating their databases, like with different grains and stuff that make sure that you can build a good recipe. So I'm going to bring that up because I want to show you why we shouldn't chase the number, and also at the same time in real time show you how efficiency can change your gravity number and how that makes a difference. So let me go grab my laptop. All right, so we're here on the Brewer's Friend website, which is what I use for basically building recipes. And by the way, if you ever get a recipe that doesn't have the efficiency written in it, you can just take that recipe's ingredients and throw it into an editor like this, and you can calculate the efficiency yourself. So every good recipe should include an efficiency, but if it doesn't, you can kind of take a little extra effort and do it yourself. So some of this I filled out. It's, you know, like a 5.5 gallon batch and all that stuff. Most of it doesn't really matter. You don't even have to sign into this website. You know, I'm not signed in. I don't think you can save the recipes, but you can print them, I believe. Something like that. Anyway, we're just doing this to give you an example of what I'm talking about. So if we come down here and we say, let's say we're doing a recipe that's 12 pounds of great, actually let's just do why does it say aromatic malt? That's weird. Oh, it's the first one on the list. Let's try Brice, just regular 2-row. Here's Brewer's Malt 2-row. That'll work. 1.8 Lovibond. It's just your basic base malt. I don't care about the hops right now because I'm just giving you an example. So you can see with 12 pounds of that base malt at a 5.5 gallon batch, you should end up with, it calculates for you, right? You should get a 1061 original gravity. It's going to end around 1015, which should give you around almost 6% ABV. And of course, there's no IBU because I don't have hops in here or anything. And serum is just the color, the SRM. All right, that's at a 75% efficiency. Now, I personally don't even get that much usually. 70 is usually what I'm at. If I change that efficiency, it drops the ABV down to 5.5%, and the original gravity changes. Final gravity, I think, stays the same. That was 1014 before, right? So my point is, if you're, say this is the recipe, right, and it was written for 70% efficiency, but your equipment only gets 65, and you know it only gets 65 because you've done a few batches and you've kept track of it, and so you know that your efficiency is 65%. So if I change that, all of a sudden, that original gravity drops to 1052, as well as the ABV, right? So it went from 1057 to 1052. Here's the point. If your efficiency is better or worse than the original recipe maker, your gravity number is not going to match. And that's why you should never chase the numbers, because there are so many things that affect efficiency. And again, I'll put it in the description, but I already said that I have a video already on efficiency. So I'm not going to go over everything that affects your efficiency. All I'm saying is that give or take efficiency, and your efficiency is going to change from batch to batch as well. So it's going to affect that original gravity number. So trying or stressing over trying to hit the exact same gravity number as that's in the recipe, you're just going to give yourself an ulcer. So you have to kind of decide for yourself what you're willing to go with. If it comes in too low, right? If you come in way below the original gravity that you're trying to aim for, so that means your efficiency was way low, you can compensate by throwing in some malt extract at the end to bring the gravity up. If you consistently have, let's say, I don't know, 60% efficiency. Let's say you consistently have a bad efficiency, 60%. I mean, as you can see, at a 60% efficiency, that drops your gravity down to 1048, but look at your ABV. That's a pretty significant drop, and I would say that that is undesirable to have that large of a difference in what the original recipe called for. So what can you do? Well, if you know ahead of time your efficiency is going to be low, because it always is, when you get a recipe, actually I don't even have to do this line, add an extra pound of grain. So the original recipe says 12 pounds of grain, make it 13. Now all of a sudden, it may not quite be where you want it, but now it pulls your number up. So even at 60% efficiency, you're getting a higher gravity, right? So 1052, right? Gravity is 1052, just over 5%. Let me go back down to 12 pounds and change this back to, see, 70% efficiency. So 1057. So it's still a little higher. So that 1 pound of grain didn't quite get you to 70% efficiency, but it brought it up, right? So, and you could add more than that, or you could do that plus some dry malt extract at the end. My point is, you have to decide for yourself how far off you are comfortable being. And for me, it depends on the percentage of alcohol, right? If you have a beer that's supposed to finish around 5%, I don't really want it to go much lower than that. I'm not saying you can't and that some people don't make those lower, I think they're called low beers or something like that. There are beers out there that are made from like secondary grain extracts that give you a low alcohol percentage. That's fine, and if you want to do that, like, you're the one drinking the beer, so if you like it, you like it. But for me, if a recipe ends around 5%, I'm okay with going over a little bit, like 5.5%, but I don't want to go under that 5. Now, if a recipe calls for a recipe ends at, say, 5.5% alcohol by volume, if I get to 6, I'm okay with that. If I go down to 5, I'm okay with that. Anything more than that, I start to worry. Here's why. You're adjusting, or you're changing your alcohol, means you're changing your gravity. Remember, when you're making a beer, there are two things that have to sort of balance. You have the malt, which is sweet and malty, obviously, and then you have the hops, which are supposed to offset, give you some bitterness and balance to that sweet malt. If you start getting too far in either direction, too much, higher alcohol volume means you're getting more sugar than you expected out of the malt, and it's going to be more malty. That means you should actually be putting more hops. And if you don't, and you wouldn't, because by the time you find out, you've already done your boil or whatever, you're going to end up with a beer that doesn't taste the way it's supposed to taste. I'm not saying it'll be bad, it's just that it won't taste what you were expecting because it's going to be much maltier. There won't be as much of a balance. Same thing goes the other direction. If you are low, meaning your efficiency is below what it was for the original recipe, and it's too far below, you're going to end up with a beer that has less body to it, less maltiness, and overpowering hops, because there's going to be too many hops for the efficiency and the sugar that you got. So either way, you end up with a beer that's not balanced. So yeah, you have some room, some wiggle room, but you have to decide for yourself what your preferences are on how much wiggle room you have or are willing to do, and how much you want to try to correct before you decide to start fermenting it. So make the corrections if you want. Don't if you're happy with the number that you got. Just whatever you do, don't stress. Don't stress. Just have a beer, relax, and you can either work on fixing the gravity number at the end, or if you've been brewing for a while and you know your efficiency is regularly low compared to other recipes, add an extra pound or two of base grain to whatever recipe you're making, and that will help make the difference. Other than that, don't chase the number. Try to be in a range, not specifically trying to hit an exact, number that the recipe has. All right, so that's my spiel on that. I hope that helped a little bit in your beer making progress. Thanks for watching. Thanks for stopping by. I'll see you in a week. And until then, happy brewing.